All right, let's talk. Are you a guy, say, over 30, maybe 40s, 50s, and you're just sick and tired of all the fitness nonsense out there? I mean, all the conflicting advice? Yeah. If you just want to know what actually works to get in shape, you're in the right place. We are going to cut through all of that noise with a super simple, no BS guide.
You know the feeling, right? You decide, okay, this is it, I'm getting serious about my health. You hop online and bam, you're hit with this just tidal wave of super complicated, conflicting information. It's enough to make you want to throw in the towel before you even begin.
And listen, you are definitely not alone in this. So many guys get bogged down in the weeds, tracking every last calorie, trying to decipher these insane workout plans that look like they're for a professional bodybuilder, and just obsessing over tiny little details that honestly don't matter. It's a super frustrating cycle, and it's no wonder so many people just quit.
But hey, that's exactly what we're going to fix today. So here's the game plan. First, we'll talk about the real problem, this fitness overload. Then, we'll dive into a new philosophy, something called the 90-10 principle. From there, we'll build out the solution with 3 simple pillars. And finally, we'll lay out the plan, how to make it all about consistency, not perfection.
All right, section 1, the problem. So what is the real issue here? It's simple, really. It's overload. The fitness world today, man, is just a minefield of information. And honestly, it feels like a lot of it is actually designed to make you fail, to keep you confused.
And this is the most important part. It is not your fault. The biggest obstacle for most guys isn't a lack of effort or willpower, no way. It's the sheer volume of information, this overload. You're basically drowning in health bullshit, and that just leads to paralysis. You don't know where to start, so you don't start at all.
Okay, so if the problem is all this noise, how do we cut through it? Well, that brings us to a whole new philosophy. It's all about focusing on what actually moves the needle. We're going to call it the 90-10 principle.
So what is this principle? It's this idea that 90% of your results are going to come from just 10% of your efforts. Think about that. You've probably heard of the 80-20 rule in business, right? The Pareto principle? Well, this is kind of like the fitness version. The vast majority of your success, almost all of it, comes from a tiny fraction of the things you do. The whole game is just figuring out what that critical 10% is. And this really breaks it down perfectly. On the left, you've got that powerful 10% of actions that give you 90% of the results. We're talking the basics, consistency, big compound lifts, simple nutrition, daily movement, and quality sleep. Now look at the right side. This is the 90% of stuff that people get lost in that only gives you like 10% of the results. This is the fancy supplement stacks, the peptides and nootropics, the cold plunges and red light therapy, chasing a perfect HRV score, all that stuff. Look, these things aren't necessarily bad, but they're the icing on a cake you haven't baked yet.
I love this quote because it just nails it. Focusing on all that stuff in the right-hand column, it's like trying to fine-tune a race car that has no engine. You're polishing the hubcaps when there's nothing under the hood. It's completely pointless. You got to build the engine first.
So, how do we build that engine? Well, it all comes down to the solution. Focusing on 3 incredibly simple pillars: nutrition, movement, and recovery. Let's dig into each one.
Okay, pillar number 1, simple nutrition. Seriously, forget all the complicated diet plans. The rule is so simple. Just eat real food. We're talking lean meats, vegetables, tubers like potatoes, fruits. That's it. The closer the food is to how it came out of the ground or off the animal, the better. And you know what happens? You actually feel fuller on fewer calories. Naturally. It's kind of wild.
And if you're thinking, nah, that sounds way too simple to work, check this out. The guy who came up with this system runs this challenge, and the #1 complaint he gets, the most common piece of feedback, is I'm having trouble eating enough calories. Can you believe that? People are too full. That's the power of eating real food.
All right, let's move on to pillar 2, effective movement. And listen, let me be super clear. This is not about living in the gym for hours a day. It's about building smart, effective movement into the life you already have.
And you know what a huge part of that is? Just walking. I'm not kidding. There was a study that found people who got over 8,000 steps a day had a 40% lower risk of dying from, well, anything, compared to people who got less than 4,000 steps. A 40% lower risk? That's an insane return on investment for just walking a bit more.
Now, for the actual weightlifting part, you've got to ditch the idea that you need to spend hours at the gym. Nope. All you need is 30 minutes. 30 minutes of focused, concentrated work.
That means you get in, you work hard, no scrolling on your phone between sets, and you get out. Anybody can find 30 minutes, a few times a week.
And the plan itself? Super simple. You can use an ABC plan. So like on day A, you do your squats, bench press, rows. Boom. Then on day B, you hit your deadlifts, overhead press, and pull-ups. And on day C, you can throw in some accessory stuff. You know, shrugs, biceps, whatever. It's a basic, proven structure that will get you incredible results if you just stick with it. Okay, that brings us to our third and final pillar, and this is the one everybody messes up: foundational recovery. This is the piece of the puzzle that is so often overlooked, but honestly, it might just be the most important key to unlocking all of your progress. So what are the big levers you can pull here? Well, getting some sun exposure every day is huge. So is having good relationships. That's key for your mental well-being. But the undisputed, undefeated champion of recovery, it's sleep. Absolutely non-negotiable. I really want this to land. Sleep is the single largest lever you can pull for your health. Seriously. Everything, and I mean everything, gets easier when you are getting good sleep. Your willpower for your diet, your energy for workouts, your focus at work, all of it gets better. All right, so we have our 3 pillars: nutrition, movement, recovery. Simple enough. But how in the world do you actually make this work in a real, busy life? That's what this last part is all about. The plan, which is all about consistency over perfection. And listen, the most important thing to remember is this: you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent. It's a total mindset shift, because guess what? You're going to miss a workout sometimes. You're going to eat a pizza, and that is totally okay. The goal is not perfection. The goal is just to keep showing up consistently over time. And here's a great example of what a day in the life could look like. You can see it's not about these giant 2-hour blocks of gym time. It's about weaving things in. You wake up, stretch. You get a workout in the morning. Maybe you work on a treadmill desk for a bit to get your steps in. You have dinner with the family. The key is just fitting it into the cracks of your real life, doing what you can when you can. So let's just boil this whole thing down to its simplest form. Here's your plan. 1. Eat lean meats, veggies, and fruits. 2. Aim for over 8,000 steps a day. 3. Lift weights for 30 minutes 3 times a week. And 4. Get 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep. That's it. That is the whole plan. That's the 10% that delivers 90% of the results. So for right now, just forget everything else. Forget all the noise. Just focus on those 4 things. And as we finish up, I want to leave you with a question, a call to action, really. Looking at that simple list, what is the one thing from that critical 10% that you can focus on starting this week?